Tea or coffee?" she said. "That's very kind of you, but I should really wake Niamh up and get—" "The poor child is exhausted." She dropped the kettle back onto its base with a clack. "You're not taking her anywhere." She turned, eyes flashing. "Seriously? Mel left her child with you?" Tim took a tiny step back. For a moment he didn't know how to respond to her verbal attack. Tiredness and self-defence came to his rescue. No, this woman didn't get to tell him off. He'd driven all the way up here to get Niamh. He was bloody well taking her home. "Look, I appreciate what you've done, but Niamh is my responsibility. I have to take her home." "You're right. She was your responsibility. So how come she ended up 200 miles away before you noticed she'd gone?" Harriet crossed her arms and glared at him, challenging him to answer. "I thought she was at Holiday Club. I dropped her off there. She must have hidden behind the door and sneaked back out after I drove off. She even got some guy to call them and tell them she was ill." His voice crept up to normal volume, and he hastily modulated it. "How was I to compete with orchestrated deception like that?" Harriet glared at him some more. There was something in that glare that made him feel about 6 years old. He tried again. "Look," he said, spreading his hands in a placating gesture. "I'm really sorry about all the hassle this must have caused you. I'd been trying to call her. She finally picked up to say she was in Huddersfield, and I jumped in the car and came straight here. Thank you so much for looking after her, but I need to get her home. Her mother is going to kill us both when she finds out." At the mention of Mel, something akin to disgust flitted across Harriet's face. "Do you even know why she ran away?" Tim opened his mouth to argue that he did, but realised he had no idea. Not really. He hazarded a guess. "She was missing her father and wanted to talk to you about him," which was roughly what Niamh had said days ago, when they'd had the conversation-cum-argument about it. Again, he mentally kicked himself for not agreeing to take her then. Harriet rolled her eyes. "Yes, but why did she need to talk to me about him? She's only met me once." "Because you were Richard's mistress." "Girlfriend," she corrected him. He inclined his head. Fine, whatever she wanted to label herself. "It's not because I was his girlfriend," Harriet carried on. "It's because she didn't feel she could talk to anyone else. The girl has lost her father. She's scared she's forgetting him, and her own mother refuses to talk to her about him. What kind of heartless bitch does that?" "She's not a heartless bitch. The only person who got to be rude to Mel was him. She's got a lot of things going on at the Mo. Things more important than a child struggling to cope with bereavement. Niamh is 14, for heaven's sake. How is she supposed to cope with this sort of thing on her own?" "She's had counselling." Even to his own ears that sounded feeble. Mel had told him about this. She had seemed to think that was exactly what Niamh needed. In fact, he'd thought Niamh was looking happier for it. Tim loved his niece, but he assumed that Mel knew what was best for her. What if she didn't? Should he have paid more attention, been more involved? He thought of Mel. She wouldn't take kindly to his interfering. Harriet gave a snort.